Hi, this is Jill Riley, and I'm the Communications Assistant for the PAC Northwest Conference. And today it is my joy to speak with Dawn Taloyo, who is the Associate Superintendent of the PAC Northwest. Good morning, Dawn.
Good morning, Jill.
It's wonderful to talk to you. I love the picture behind your head. That is glorious.
Thank you. I get lots of comments on it, and I always joke it's just from IKEA.
IKEA is our friend.
Yes.
So, Dawn, tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I grew up in Sacramento, California, South Sac, and I mean my whole life almost in the same house until I left for college. And my parents are educators. My dad was a middle school teacher his whole career, my mom elementary school, and I have one younger brother. So pretty
Cool.
tight-knit family. Yeah.
When did you make your way up to the Pacific Northwest?
It's 20 years ago this summer, actually. Whereas we thought we were up here for just a year. My husband and I moved up with our newly adopted 18-month-old for an internship, my husband's internship, and then we stayed in Oregon and just kind of loved the quality of life and landed here. And one job led to another. So
Wonderful, wonderful. That's how it happens.
I know,
So now
unexpected.
describe your family.
Oh, sure. Yes. My husband, who I was counting, we've actually been friends for 36 years. We met the first week freshman in college, and we've been married 25 years. And we have two children. My son just graduated college at University of Oregon, and my daughter will be a senior in high school.
Now don't hate me. Is
Uh-huh.
University of Oregon a duck or a beaver?
That's the ducks. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just checking.
Yep.
Wonderful, wonderful. Where did you and your husband go to college?
UC Irvine in Southern
Okay,
California. Mhm.
great. So tell us a little bit about your ministry background because I'm sure not everybody knows kind of your journey.
Yeah, try and say it in a nutshell, but I was a high school convert, didn't grow up in the church, and then went to UC Irvine and immediately was involved with InterVarsity. So I really feel like that was formative for me. It was my years with InterVarsities and being a leader, and then eventually part-time volunteer staff for a few years. And so incredible foundation and experience. And then I came away and thought, I'm done. I ended up working at Cal Berkeley as an academic advisor for a few years, but was still trying to search for my purpose and came across spiritual direction. And got married. And so my husband and I both went to Fuller, and I was there to get training in spiritual direction, but I finished with a Master of Divinity and asking the question, God, am I supposed to be a pastor? That was not my intention. So I discovered the ECC while I was at Fuller. We moved to Oregon, focused on kids and whatnot. And then we ended up in Corvallis at the Well Covenant Church. And that kind of went through a really challenging transition point. And I ended up doing part-time interim role for a few months. And it was at that point I realized, I'm called to be a pastor.
Hmm.
So I started a search that lasted for a while, a couple of years probably, and ended up landing at Trinity Covenant in Salem as the associate pastor, and loved it and served there for 7 years. And then after those 7 years, Greg invited me onto conference staff. And so now I've been doing that almost 7 years. It's hard to believe.
Wonderful, wonderful. What makes you the most excited in your role as the associate superintendent? What just really thrills you?
There's so many things. I am so grateful for this role that allows me to use such a variety of gifts, and there's so many different kind of opportunities. But I would summarize it by saying I love being able to resource and connect, and that just comes in whether it's consulting with pastors and churches and just taking those phone calls and saying, oh, I know who you can talk to, or I know this church that has already walked that path and can help. It's creating resources, retreats or experiences, or connecting church chairs together, so it's kind of seeing those needs and being able to kind of prepare, put together those resources or find them for people. So I love that. I love being able to come in and lead things, teach, lead retreats. So draw on the different gifts that I have. So
Are you
it's,
still working as a spiritual director?
I am. I do
Wonderful.
that. And so, yeah, it's really fun. I mean, there's always the other percentage that's challenging,
Sure.
and coming into issues of crisis, but it's a lot of the preventative care, as I call it, that I get to do that really gives me joy.
Yes, and we're grateful for your role there. Do you have maybe 3 favorite authors or artists that you love?
Yeah, I was thank you for the questions ahead. I was thinking about this. And actually I came up with 3 favorite books, and
Okay.
which is kind of favorite authors, but I thought of 3 books that have just been so formative or healing in my life. So one is Henry Nouwen's Return of the Prodigal Son. I don't know if
Oh,
you can see
love,
this. Yeah,
love.
this was transformative for me, and I go back to. I also think of Richard Foster's Celebration of Discipline. This is like old
Old and
classic.
oldie.
I know. And I reread it a couple of years ago, and I thought, if I didn't have any other book on spiritual disciplines, that would be okay. Just if I could just put into practice this one, then I'd be doing pretty
Transformative.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
because
transformative.
it's still so challenging and so good. And then a lot of people who I walk with know I love Sister Macrina Whitaker, and this book is called Abide. I've read this one and gone through it like 3 times, and it's just her language is my heart language around scripture, and the way she brings it to light and reflects on it just is very deep. So those
Wonderful.
would
Well,
be my
thank you for
3.
sharing those. Yes. So I have a kind of offhanded question for you. And it's, what don't we know about you that you'd like us to know?
I mean, many people know that I love my backyard. You know that too,
Yes.
my labyrinth in my backyard. But what you don't know is how I love painting the interior of my house. And I have probably painted every wall in my house at least once, because I love, I don't know, I just find it fun to change the color and just the kind of instant gratification of something feeling fresh and new and kind of adding that color. The actual painting, like I don't even use tape. I just go at it, and
That's impressive. That's
I
fun.
like
That's
I
fun.
like it.
Well, Don, we are so grateful for your ministry and for your care for the conference and your investment. And I just wanted to say thank you, and thank you for
Oh,
sharing some of your life with us today, so we can get to know you just a little bit better.
thanks, Jill. I appreciate it.